So a few quick things before we jump in and get started. I want to address some comments. I'm really excited about the interest that people have in this series. As I've stated multiple times, the intent is to make sure people have options, they understand. Look, if you followed my channel for some time, you know that I always, I've said this multiple times, in pretty much the vast majority of my videos, kind of what goes through my mind, well, other than this, is that poor sap who just got his first Nitro vehicle for perhaps his young son, and he's fighting through it, trying to get it up and running, and he's going to have problems. Everybody does. He starts researching, he gets conflicting information, and he finds some additional information that he can ponder. It's that simple. So that's just my, my babbling, long-winded way of saying, whether you're new or old, hey, comment below. Let me know your thoughts. Two comments, I guess, that I want to just quickly address because, again, I'm so long-winded, it's hard to even type this out. But one gentleman, I actually forget his name, but he asked, why do you care if it's sealed? And, why not just let it go and enjoy it? So first and foremost, and I'm sincere here, I want to thank this guy because, there's a lot of guys that will roll through and either just hit dislike and not say anything, right? Or come through and say, you're a MF and you're a faggot, blah, 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 and just that's it, no substance. Again, how do you even respond to that? Okay, well, that's a good one. You just got me there, I guess. But I do appreciate the people that have questions, that want to understand where I'm coming from, okay? And so I will address this. First, why do I care? Well, let's define care, right? So, as I've stated, I don't really care if you guys seal, in the grand scheme of things, come on. Obviously I don't care if you guys seal your engines or not. Trust me, I got much more going on than to worry about that. But if I have an opportunity to right what I perceive to be a wrong, and that is someone telling somebody else something that I disagree with, well, I guess in my mind it's my right to say something about it. That's all it is. Not trying to be combative, not trying, if you go look at that forum, you look at my post, I think you'll see I wasn't being combative to anybody. That's really not my intent. I can get grimy if I have to, of course. That's just how I am. But at the same time, this is, I'm too old for that shit, right? So I don't want to, I just want to talk RC. That's it. That's the thing that you'll notice about me is, and I'm going to give you a very clear example here in a moment, but that's all. I just want to talk RC. Sometimes people, they can't talk it, right? So they go another direction. So, but that's it. So hopefully, that clears it up. Of course I'm having fun. The way, and again, I don't know how many of my videos you've seen, but I'm of the mindset, anybody that knows me will tell you, I do what I want to do. And if I'm not having fun with something, I'm not going to do it. If I'm not having fun with something, I'm going to tell you I'm not having fun. Again, that's the best way I can explain it. I'm having a blast. So yeah, when these guys tell people to seal it doesn't shake me. I'm not, it's in a way it's kind of funny, and it's intriguing to me. It is intriguing that there are actually people like this. And I've been around. I've seen a whole lot of stuff, but man, this is intriguing. So in all candor, I really, I respect the fact that you came at me like you did, tactful, and asked a question. Please, come back, ask more questions. I'm happy to dialogue like that. And if you come in and start going, you're then I might say something, I might bite back a little bit, but I think just based on your original question, you don't seem that type. You can see as I was tuning this engine, it started to get its groove on a little bit. Hey, also Nitro Nerds here, and this is part 2 in a new video series where I will nightly upload a fact concerning nitro engines. Facts as I know them, facts as I hopefully am able to show you. Tonight is fact 2. Just don't worry about that. So my intent with this video series is not to sway you to my side. It's to provide edification as to things that are not always readily available for analysis in many of these forums. Often what I see is forum leadership has a very specific agenda. I don't. So think about it in terms of this. You have one faction of people who are concerned solely about being correct, to the point they will go as far as to suppress any sort of opposing views. You have another faction who are mainly concerned with your success within this hobby. These are the ones that go out of their way to elaborate on anything and everything that they've spoken about, simply to ensure that you can make sound decisions. In fact 1, you don't say, I showed you why you'd want to be cautious and listening to people, stock and barrel, right? So essentially you have people with less experience, as I said, telling you it's a must-have to seal your engine, and where I have a problem, telling you that an engine that isn't sealed won't run as well as one that's sealed, because I disagree. We talked about how there's these self-proclaimed experts who are, I guess ringleaders, and once, and here's something for you guys to remember. Anytime someone tells you, I've been doing this 30 years or 20 years or whatever, well, what that means is they have to come up with, excuses. Their body of work can't speak for itself, right? So they have to come out with that stuff. And for me, I'm a newbie, right? So let's let a newbie's body of work compare against an expert of 30 years body of work. Well, again, that's why we do this. So hopefully you got a little bit of a taste on what I mean when I say the number one thing in this hobby I've learned. Without a doubt, if there is one thing, if Martians came down here and said, tell us what we need to know. All right, I'm not going to do any Martian impressions again, but if they ask, what should we know about this hobby? On my family, I would tell them, be very careful of who you listen to. It's the ones who are adamant, aggressive toward others, suppressing any differing views, but have absolutely nothing to show for it. And again, I don't consider a video where, you can't hear the engine or anything. To me, that's not a tuning video, right? That's not a listen how badass my engine is. Those are the people you want to be weary of. Now, on to fact 2. If it's so important to seal an engine, as many have told us, almost every engine that comes from the factory has a leak, right? So, we got people that they just got their first ever engine, and they drank the Kool-Aid. You got to seal it. They put a tank through it, they sealed it, and now they're tuning like professionals. Okay, if this is true, then it's true. But the fact here is, I have over 25 engines of, low end, ready to run to the, considered some of the best in the world. I've never had an air leak from the factory. The fact here is, I have over 25 engines. I've never had an air leak from the factory. I have over 25 engines. I've never had an air leak. I've never had an air leak. I've never had shouldn't some credence, be placed on that? Where, if you have people that, again, rant and rave about how their one or two engines have had an issue, well, how do you account for the fact that I've over 25 and 0 of them? Have I been lucky? Have I been lying? Perhaps my engines just run as crappy as theirs. Perhaps they have a leak and I just don't know it. But once again, it's a fact. So this leads me to our sub-fact of the day, or bonus fact, whatever you want to call it. And that is, I have yet to see an engine where it ran crappy, it was sealed, and then it beasted like people say. Now, I have seen engines that they ran crappy, they were sealed, they continue to run crappy. Or I've seen non-sealed engines do the same. I've seen engines that have been validated that they have a leak. Something like the vacuum port was sealed and they ran it like it should after it was fixed. But I've never seen a running video of a Nitro engine that had an air leak, it showed the air leak, it was fixed, and then it got down like people claim it gets down. I don't know why that is. If it's so prevalent, right? If it's so common, and you got these people who are posting all sorts of videos, why wouldn't they post that? I say it's because, well, to be honest with you, again, they're stretching the truth here. So the number one thing about engines, Nitro engines, is, in my opinion at least, the only way, and baby, I mean the only way to judge them and to really determine how badass or how wicked they are, is to compare them against one another. I learned this lesson a long time ago. Videos, I assure you, don't do it just RP or whatever, right? And I mean, the difference is so extreme, it's almost wrong. I've been contacted by, 15, 20 people that, that are in tune with what's going on there. And, a lot of them, they tell me, hey, they don't want to be bothered to speak up because it's such a beat down to deal with them. And I completely understand. From my perspective, it's easy. I mean, as they say, it's easy work, right? It's almost fun. And there's also some, I guess what you might consider high-profile people that often follow along, and I assure you they are in the same line of thinking as I and most all of you are. Again, they're just not in a position to really speak up because they have, it's their livelihood, right? So they have to be a little bit more tactful with taking sides or anything such as that. But for the cowards that are watching here who won't comment and want to be the only voice or think they can only be the only voice, I got news for you. I want you to consider something, okay? Consider the fact that if I wanted to, I could easily get 2,000-3,000 people to register on a single day, and we basically take that forum over for a week or whatever. Right? I mean, of course, I'd ask everyone to behave themselves, it's always, but the intent is to ensure that we don't have 1 or 2 people who know little, if anything, about which they claim running the show. It's something I'm strongly considering, so, it's because I'm like that. So again, I'd step carefully, Woody and Jam Racer, whomever the hell, and if anybody's on there who sides with them, speak up, go tell them, show them this video. I think it's great. I'm encouraging open communication here. and just tell them if I wanted to, I could take the form over. So what have we learned so far? Well, we've learned that there are people out there who perhaps get their first nitro engine. They don't properly break it in, if at all, which means that they're obviously careless and reckless. They crack open their engine, and of course, as we know, if it's not performed in an exact manner, they risk damaging the piston skirt, the connecting rod, the back plate, the crank pin, the head button. You know, they risk improperly rebuilding it, perhaps misaligning or damaging or losing shims, incorrect orientation of things such as the cylinder or the connecting rod. Perhaps they scratch the carb neck. I mean, there's so many things that can happen, and if they're lucky, the acidic vapors that can corrode aluminum, like two sorts of metals. We'll get into this in another episode, but if they're lucky, they won't even have those problems. So once again, we've got all this, and for those that say, well, it doesn't, right? It doesn't damage my engine, or this or that doesn't happen. Again, show us. Show us the inside of your engine, because I'm going to go with science, not what you tell us. So my advice, if you're new, is to realize there are, extremely disparate experiences. Meaning you have one faction that say, this is how, they couldn't tune it until they sealed it. And another faction that say that's the exact opposite of what they experienced. So the only thing you can do at this point is realize that one of these factions, right, one of them have to be wrong. Or say, what's the best way to prove it? Now, in my mind, okay, if there's a better way to prove or back up what I'm saying to you, to show that these are facts, if there's a better way other than what I'm doing, which is, look, here's an engine I'm taking out of the box. Now watch me break it in. Now look, I'm tuning it. Now look, it's ripping ass. If there's a better way to prove it, let me know. I'm all ears, right? So considering that, I've done everything, as much as one possibly can, over and over and over again, with this, a few of the same engines as, these other people, to prove it. But the guys who claim that, there are one or two engines, couldn't be tuned until they seal it, they haven't even shown it. Once again, facts.